We should all know by now that in 2025, you can use calisthenics to put on a serious amount of muscle and strength. Chances are you already have your favorite exercises for putting on muscle using calisthenics. But something you might not have thought of is how do you build your tendons? What's the importance of building your tendon strength? And what should you do if you want to build your muscle and strength to get even better at your calisthenics skills? Let's go through that today. So to explain the difference between how to build muscle using calisthenics, which is usually called hypertrophy training, and how to build tendon strength, which people usually call tendon conditioning, straight arm strength, I'm going to use a little analogy. Think of your muscles as soldiers in an army. Each soldier represents a motor unit, a group of muscle fibers that work together. When you want to move something heavy like lifting a heavy weight or performing a skill, you need to recruit more soldiers or more motor units in order to be stronger. The more soldiers you have pulling, the stronger the force produced. Now these soldiers, they need something to pull on. That's where your tendons come in. Think of the tendons as thick, strong ropes that the soldiers grip and pull on. These ropes connect the soldiers to whatever they're trying to pull on, which in this scenario of the body is the bones. So the soldiers are the muscles, the tendons are the thick, strong ropes, and then the object they're pulling is the bones. And that's how I'm able to move my arms here, and you're able to get into your planche or start doing your handstands, whatever movement it is, pick something heavy. It's because of this action. Now you might already know some of the factors that cause and stimulate muscle hypertrophy, which cause the muscles to get bigger. Some of those things are muscle damage, metabolic stress, hormones, and other things like that. All these things stimulate muscle hypertrophy, which basically add more soldiers to the army, and you get a bigger muscle and more motor units. If you're trying to perform an exercise and that rope snaps, aka your bicep tendon tears or something like that, it's no good. We need to make sure, as strong as our army is getting, that the tendon, that rope they're pulling on, is also strong. And different factors cause this, which is called collagen synthesis. So we need to focus on those as well when we train, if we want to focus and prioritize the tendon growth and increasing the strength of that rope. Some factors that help stimulate collagen synthesis and help build up the strength of that rope are high impact activities, placing the joints in disadvantageous positions under load, and heavy resistance training, especially heavy eccentrics and isometrics. Now you guys understand the difference between building muscle, adding more motor units or more soldiers in an army, compared to making your tendon stronger, which is increasing the strength of that rope that the soldiers are pulling on. Next, we need to actually explain, okay, how do we train those at the same time? Let's say you want to optimize your training, so as you get stronger and build stronger muscles, you don't want to neglect your tendons and you want to build stronger tendons. How do we do that? Let's go through it now. So now I'm going to give you some different calisthenics exercises you can use to build strength, build muscle, and build tendon strength all in the same workout. So there's some rules to the program, so you need to do this 3 to 4 times per week. Obviously work your way up. If you're a beginner, you can start with a little less sessions per week and then increase them over time. You want to progress progressively, so that means starting out with just a little during the sessions, then increasing the intensity of the exercises over time. Your body finds it much easier to repair the damage to your muscles and add more soldiers to the army and make that muscle bigger, compared to repairing the damage done to the rope and making the rope thicker. It's a much more detailed process. It takes longer. So you have to keep that in mind, that you can build muscle faster, and sometimes the tendon might not be able to keep up because it takes a little bit more time. There's lower blood supply to that tendon, that rope. It's harder to build stronger compared to the muscle. Also with these calisthenics exercises and this program I'm going to go through, is that you can do a lot of these as full range of motion reps for the hypertrophy and building the muscle, and then a static hold at the end, an isometric hold, to focus on the tendons, okay? But you want to make sure that you're doing this at the correct intensity. That's very important. Let's go through the different exercises. So the first exercise, we're going to hit the chest muscles and the pectoral tendon at the same time. To do this, we're going to use an exercise, a calisthenics exercise called Bulgarian dips. You can do this on the rings or using chairs as you're seeing. The main aim here is to keep the arms going outwards. Make sure with all these exercises that they are pretty intense, that you're doing, you know, no more than like 8 reps very easily. You want to keep the reps low and it's intense because you want to focus on building that tendon strength, and you need stress to do that, but also we're focusing on building muscles. So you don't want it to be, you know, very short sets where you're only focused on the strength. So not only 1 to 3 reps, try and go for a bit more, and you can go for a hold at the end like I mentioned. If this exercise is a little bit hard, you can use some progressions. You can do this banded. If you want to prioritize your pec tendon and you know iron cross is a goal or something like that, this could be good exercises to start getting used to, progressively overloading it so you work up to your body weight, and maybe you even start adding weight to it. The next exercise is for the tricep and for the tricep tendon. So again, we're going to work on that muscle and the tendon. The soldiers in the army, we're going to recruit more and we're going to build up that rope. Remember, try and do these slowly over time with increasing the intensity, because it takes longer to make that rope stronger, and that's very important also. So to do this, we're doing a sort of diamond tricep extension push-up sort of thing, but we're going to do this sort of like a tiger bend push-up. Okay, so you can see the kind of angle my arms are at. This is going to put a lot of pressure on the tricep tendon. So again, be very gentle with this. Don't go into an extreme angle with your arms very quickly, and progress this one slowly over time. Another alternative to this exercise, if you don't like it, you don't like the position, and maybe it's just a little bit too painful, is to work on the impossible dip progression. So I know this one, again, it's more for advanced people, but you can use different progressions like using bands and scale this one to you. You can do things like negatives, which makes it much more achievable, but again, it is more for intermediates to more advanced. And of course, you can use weights to load the triceps heavily and do static holds. And of course, you can also use weights if you do want to go that route and isolate the triceps, but also the tricep tendon. You just want to pick an exercise that you can load heavily. Remember, isometrics and eccentrics are great for the tendons, but you want to get full range of motion reps as well for the triceps. Now, for the distal bicep tendon and for the biceps themselves, we're going to use chin-ups, okay? We're going to do some heavy weighted chin-ups. Again, we're going to keep the reps not too high, but not too low, because we want a good amount of time and attention. We're going to do some reps to a hold to really focus on that biceps tendon as well, with the isometric hold at the end. So full range of motion reps to an isometric hold of either weighted chin-ups or just regular chin-ups, or even banded if you're at that progression. So this is going to be a great one for loading that distal biceps tendon, but also for the muscle as well, and it will hit your back too. Now, for the proximal biceps tendon and the biceps as well, we're going to use the supinated planche lean. This is one, if you're getting into statics and learning the planche, that you might have done before, but it's really good at building that straight arm strength, which, like I said earlier, is going to be building up your tendon strength. This is a good one. It's an isometric hold. So again, we're fully focused on that tendon, building that, but you will be activating your biceps. So try and get a good mind muscle connection to your biceps. Lock out the joint. Again, the joint's going to be in a disadvantageous position, which means a lot of stress going through that tendon. So take this one slow, but build up the time under tension over time, and you can adjust the lean. So you can start with just a little bit amount of lean, and as you get stronger, you can lean more and more. Now, we don't want to forget about the shoulders. There's a lot of connective tissue there. I've even had shoulder injuries by neglecting or even just by overuse and impact, and then some of those connective tissues, the tendons, the ligaments, they get inflamed, and that causes issues elsewhere. So I know if any of you have shoulder injuries before in the past, you know how annoying it is. So let's work on that. So again, you're just going to work on your external rotation and internal rotation. You can use a band for this. It makes it very simple to do reps and to do holds, and you're going to use the same method for this. You're going to progressively overload it over time, and by using this program over time, you're going to build large muscles, have a large army, but also strong ligaments and connective tissues by increasing the strength of that rope, which means you can train straight arm skills much more effectively with a lower chance of injury, because you haven't neglected that tendon strength. And if you like the shirt I've been wearing in this video, check out Gore Nation. They also have calisthenics equipment. You can use my code to get 10% off any purchase there. And if you want a more in-depth explanation on tendons and how to train tendons, then check out these two videos, because I've already made quite a few with explaining different exercises, different methods for training the tendons, and some of them go more in depth. So check out those videos too.